Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to Brandon Smooth TV. Back at y'all with another review. Before I get started, thank you for everyone who's commented. Thank you to everybody who subscribed to my channels. We just had a milestone, first video over 1,000 views. So I definitely want to thank everybody. I appreciate the support. I love doing this and love talking about it. Please do not forget to share this, like, and subscribe, and comment. I love to discuss this nerdy stuff that we enjoy. Now, The Boys Season 3. Quick background. I've been watching The Boys. I watched Season 1 and Season 2, and Garth Ennis, we know, created this really dark comic back in the 1990s. Basically going over The Boys as, I would call them not even anti-superheroes. They are villains in superhero costumes. Loosely based off of the Justice League. We got a lot of the same people with the same powers. And to me, it gave a more realistic look at how superheroes would be in real life. I mean, even though you may have tremendous powers, you still gonna have a girlfriend, you still gonna get jealous. I love that the boys have like PR team, their actual business. They care about their ratings, how they look to fans. It's crazy. So the most important thing to them is their image, and of course, portraying, quote unquote, to be good superheroes when in actuality they're all pieces of shit. Not all of them. So picking up with season 3, and a lot's happened, but picking up with season 3, we end off with season 2, and season 2, unfortunately, we end up finding out Butcher's wife was raped by Homelander. We'll say it that way for YouTube purposes. And that was his vendetta towards Zeus. If they can just go around willy-nilly doing this and not have any repercussions, he wanted to bring the fight directly to them. Him being ex-military, CIA, FBI, he wants to bring it to the suits because basically no one on Earth will bring him justice. Now, his way of doing that is wrong because he has no problem murdering suits, setting them up, recording them, extorting them, doing anything he needs to do to get rid of them. So at the end of season 2, we ended up finding out that he ended up finding out his wife was alive. He thought his wife was dead the entire time. And Homelander and her have a son. Crazy ass Homelander finds out that his son also has powers. So he's basically been on the hunt from him, and they've been having him kind of hide from the government. So, as I said, quick background. I've been watching The Boys. I enjoy The Boys. And we pick up with episode 1, which is probably the nastiest shit I ever seen in my life. Y'all, there's somebody who replicated, I know you've seen this too, that replicated this power similar to Ant-Man. Does this dude shrink down, jump into a dude's dick hole, and make him explode from the inside? That was one of the craziest shits I ever seen in my life. Mind blowing. I didn't even think they were going to take it there the first episode. And if that's on the first episode, I can only imagine what's to come. Crazy fight. He did have a lot of Ant-Man's same powers as far as being able to retain his strength, being, micro, the size of an atom, probably smaller than that. So I thought that was a really good fight they had. Butcher put him in a bag of cocaine to contain him. That was just hilarious. Now, we end up finding out that since Homelander last season, because I call season 2 the Stormfront season, Stormfront was a Nazi. It ended up coming out. And now he's facing a backlash. The public don't trust him. They don't like him. His ratings is down. So our boy, that's the head of Vault, I forgot his name, Edgar. Edgar decides to have Starlight be co-captain of the Seven with Homelander. We know that's not going to go over too well with him. But she decided to do it, and she feels like she can make actual change. Also with Edgar actually supporting her, it kind of trumps Homelander. So we'll see that. I can tell they're going to definitely fight. There's going to be some internal fighting in the Seven, but that's going to be good. Now, Huey was actually working with the head pop lady, and I call her the head pop lady because sometimes her name escapes me. But we know at the end of season 2, we ended up finding out that the lady that was with the government, the political lady that was in politics, she was the one that started popping people's heads in Congress. That shit was crazy. I think she goes by Vicky. So Huey's working with Vicky, and basically Huey doesn't want to do it the illegal way with the boys anymore. He wants to go legit and try to actually, stop Soups losing the law. We'll see how long that lasts. We also catch up with Frenchie, and I call her Wolverine. I forget her name, but we know the chick that don't talk. She's cold, super, super strong. They're still together, which I enjoy. And I love their relationship and dynamic. I know her being experimented on and having a rough life. Having somebody like Frenchie to confide in and trust, that's probably was a big step for her. Also, Frenchie, he really likes her. You can tell, and he cares for her on a real, real deep level. Now, we pick up with our boy Mother's Milk. His wife left him. And can we blame her? This ain't one of them weird situations where your wife leaves and don't understand. Like, Homelander and the other suits were seeking out to kill them. And I remember in season 1 or 2, they had to go to like a safe house. And they was on the run, including his daughter. So all of that trauma, I definitely understand why she wanted to remarry and get rid of him. So Mother Milk's definitely dealing with that. And we know Mother's Milk loves his wife and daughter. That's a given. Now, the Deep is back on top. The Deep has been forgiven for what he did to Starlight. He got TV shows. His ratings is up with the fans. He's up in the polls, and he's looking really good. He got a new girlfriend. Now, to me, it seems like the Deep is playing into this a little too much. But if you watch season 1 and 2, he's always been that emotional, weird, in love with fish dude. They tease Aquaman on this so much. He's supposed to be Aquaman, but the jokes is crazy, and it's some other stuff that have him like, okay, this is a little disturbing, but I think he's having sexual relationships with some of these animals too. Fast forward. So one of the inside people at Vault gives Butcher 3 vials of green fluid. Basically, it gives you the powers to be a soup for 24 hours. But the side effects are effing crazy. I don't know if some people maybe will retain their powers depending on how their DNA is. Or some people might die. Shoot, it wasn't really known. They said once they gave it to Edgar that the side effects are crazy. So we know from the trailers that Butcher's definitely going to take some of that serum and become a soup. But of course the fight we want to see him have, of course, is with Homelander while he got the powers. Now, can Homelander probably fight for more than 24 hours? I assume he can. But that's something we're going to have to wait and see. And then, of course, episode 1, that last fight was effing crazy, y'all. This episode had more blood and guts in it, almost in the first and second season combined. And y'all know I'm there for all that shit. Anyways, one of Vicky's childhood friends that actually grew up in her, we find out they grew up in like a superhero orphanage, it's kind of similar to the X-Men, came and talked to her and was asking for help. Anyways, she can't let who she is really as far as her powers leak out because she's going against Soups. So she ends up killing him. And when I say they tore this dude limb from limb, it wasn't even guts, organs, blood, spit, molecules, cum. That shit was fucking everywhere, dude. That was the craziest fight I've seen. So as soon as I watched episode 1, I said, we are in. They are not playing the season on the boys. Nastier, bigger, and badder. Lead me up to episode 2. And we'll do the first 2 episodes. This boy band group they got is hilarious. We'll get into that. But the Chimps Don't Cry song is hilarious. And it kind of remind me of the songs they had, when they got the pet commercials with Sarah McLachlan. Basically saying donate and trying to make you feel all sad. The Chimps Don't Cry song is hilarious. Listen to that shit. And the soup that's singing it is also as crazy as fuck. Now, Homelander's birthday. We already know how egotistical and arrogant he is, so when it's his birthday, the world got to stop in his eyes. And they're setting up this celebration, and he tries to actually make Starlight sing his birthday. But our boy Edgar basically punked him and said, she ain't got to sing. She can do what she wants to. So Homelander walked all pissed, and like I said, typically Homelander would say, look, I'll kill you, you gotta do what I say, and that's how he moved his way through the first and second season. But now we actually have the head of Vault basically back in Starlight, as far as co-captain and her making certain decisions, including what, basically getting new members into the 7. We know the Deep was kicked out, so they gotta replace 2 members of the 7. Translucent's dead too, season 1. So we have to see about that. Um, Next, A-Train is trying to rebrand itself, excuse me. And since he can't run fast anymore, he's talking about he want to get back in touch with his roots. That was some of the fakest shit I seen. You ain't never gave a fuck about your roots, G. Talking about he want to go back to Africa. And this, it wasn't an actual thing. This asshole made a video game about the goddamn slave trade. And the PR lady, Ashley, she is not having that shit. Now, little fun fact to the side, there was a game on the original Xbox in development that covered the slave trade. Whoever developed that game, you're fucking assholes. Anyways, the home for Soups, as I mentioned with the kids, reminded me of the X-Men. And Huey basically went there to check on Vicky, kind of get some information about her past. Ended up lying and saying him and Starlight wanted to adopt a baby. But that's how he got out of it. I want to go back and see that home because those kids had powers. They had kids teleporting, climbing walls, flying, doing stuff. And I think that would be a very, very interesting scene. Also, it kind of gives you a flashback to how some of these Soups grew up. And even though they're just children, they had to be kept in these facilities. It really wasn't ideal. So that was a good scene. I definitely want to see some more of that. Now, we ended up finding out that Edgar, and I'm still kind of confused about this, he's actually with Vicky. And he was talking to a little girl on the couch, and then she said, get out of here, I'm going to go talk to your mother. And then she came down. So I don't know if they're in a relationship. He said, I'll always take care of you. So I don't know if they're married. I'm very interested to see their dynamic. Basically, he was reassuring her that even though he was snooping around, everything's going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? He's going to take care of it as usual. Wow. So we'll see about that. Now, this is probably to me, if not the best scene, the second best scene I've seen of Homelander. Homelander's supposed to be trying to talk this girl off a ledge from committing suicide. He ends up finding out on the news broadcast right when he's talking her out that Stormfront committed suicide. So he's saying, why would you waste your life and this lady who was a god just died? And he said, you know what? Fuck it. Go ahead and jump. And she ends up changing her mind. But it was too late. He told her to jump. He basically made her jump. And she ended up jumping off the building. Homelander's losing his shit, y'all. Every episode is like an inch. And it's just gradually getting worse and worse and worse. Homelander, we thought what he did in season 1 and 2 with the plane and punching through the dude's chest and masturbating over the top of the city, owning everybody. We thought that was crazy. What is he going to do? He's going to effing snap. And I think he's going to kill somebody in the 7. That's just what I'm saying. I said in that prediction. We'll see. We know this doesn't follow the comic book verbatim, so we do have room in the television show to explore new avenues. Now, speaking of Stormfront killing herself, nah. I'm not buying that. Now, do I think Edgar and Vault killed her? Yes, I 100% do. I think they did it for a couple of reasons. First of all, Stormfront is beyond retribution. Because they found out she was a Nazi and she's been doing crazy shit for years. So, killing her, that'll help Vault's image. Number 2, to keep our boy Homelander in line, they may have took him out. Now, of course, you would think the opposite. This would make her go over the edge, right? Homelander go over the edge, right? Not necessarily. Edgar told Homelander in season 1 and 2, you are not my greatest asset. You think you're the strongest, but you're not. And I know, reading the comics, I read a little bit of them, Black Noir. There's going to be somebody in these other Soups out there that can F Homelander up. Now, Mother's Milk scared his daughter. They had a scene where the fire alarm was going off because some food was left out on the stove. It was a lot of smoke. And right here in this scene, it kind of showed, even though we know Mother's Milk loves his daughter more than anything in the world, Soldier Boy, who they're looking at, the old school Soup that's supposed to be dead, killed his family. And he goes back, he talks to his ex-wife about Soldier Boy, about killing his family. And his ex-wife told him to go with Butcher and go finish what you started. You're not going to be able to sleep. You're not going to be able to rest until you get retribution for your family. So we can tell Mother's Milk always struggle with this. It's always a balancing act between his regular life and his family and being with the boys and stopping these evil superheroes. So that's where he needs to be. And the alarm scene showed me that. Until he gets that out of his quote unquote system, or they stop all the soups, he's never going to be a whole man. And not a whole man. He's a man, but he's not going to be able to be a good father 100% in every level, because this thing is going to always be on the back of his mind. Shout out to the dude that plays Mother's Milk, and all the actors and actresses on here is great, but that was a good scene. Now, Vicky killed her dad and got recruited by Vault. There were pictures of her. He was sitting next to a crib and his head popped. And I believe that's when she discovered her powers, not knowing how to use them. So it looks like Edgar took her in. I don't know if he married her. I don't know what happened. But maybe they fell in love while he was, climbing the ranks of the organization. But like he said, he's going to take care of her. Also, speaking of grieving, Butcher is still grieving over his wife. She just died last season. We know her son accidentally killed her, trying to save her from Homelander and Stormfront using his powers. Butcher's never going to be the same. The little boy was the anchor that kept Bush grounded to reality without just going too off the handle, even though we know he goes off the handle all the time. But losing his wife, this changed him, and he feels like he got nothing to lose. That's why Butch took the serum, becomes a suit, and in this episode, they tracked down Soulja Boy's sidekick. Was basically like a Robin to a Batman. But they got information from him, basically finding out it was an operation in Nicaragua, and they had something to do. Now, the next episode goes into that. I won't get into that, but it's a lot to do with the president and cocaine, and Soups was even helping pushing dope. At this point, you believe they can do anything in history. Now, as Butcher as a Soup, this scene was fucking awesome. He literally punched a dude's fucking dome off. He punched his head off. And when you got the force and powers to do it, he like split his whole head to where it was like a horizontal kind of, no, it was a diagonal line through his face, and his face just fucking slid off. It was fucking amazing. Ashley, the PR lady, is the best. Because every time the suits go off the handle, she's always yelling like, cut the cameras. Get him over there. What is he staying? Give me wardrobe. I love Ashley. And she has an assistant named Ashley. That's just funny because the second Ashley has no power. When somebody says Ashley, she tells her assistant to shut the fuck up. I like Ashley. Do not get rid of the PR lady Ashley. To me, she's our window into the superhero organization involved. Because she has to keep everything together. She got to babysit all these superheroes. She got to make sure they don't destroy shit. She got to make sure they say the right shit. She got to make sure they have the right cues on where to be. She got to make sure they dress right. She has a big, big responsibility. But the PR lady Ashley is the best. So I fucks with her. And then last but not least, we know Homelander loses his shit at his birthday on national TV. Basically saying, fuck Vault. They're trying to manipulate and control me. And if they do it to me, they can do it to you. I'm tired of listening to y'all. I'm going to be powerful. I'm going to be Homelander. And I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do. So, Homelander's on the brink of fucking some shit up majorly. There was a scene last season when we thought it was real. He was like at a big speech. Crowd, at least 1,000 people. 800,000, 2,000 people. And they kept like asking him hard questions. And he had his eyes like glowed with the laser vision. He just like sprayed half the crowd. Now, they ended up being something that was internally, he was thinking in his head. Some shit like that's going to happen this season, best believe. So I'm definitely hype about The Boys. Get Amazon Prime, watch this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you like The Boys, please holler back and let me know. Of course, I will be back with another review because we got episode 4 of Obi-Wan coming out today. Man, Vader. That's all I got to say. Peace.